Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending the February edition of the 2023 Cedar Lake Board of Zoning Appeals regular public meeting. If you would rise and join me to pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Present.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Capora?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
Present.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present. Ms. Hyduk is present.
Okay. First item, order of business is the minutes from just 1 month. We're caught up now?
We are all caught up.
Okay. Anyone notice any corrections or additions?
Having read the minutes, I'd like to make a motion to accept them.
What a grand motion that is, John.
And I will second that motion.
Motion to accept by Mr. Capura. Second made by Mr. Burnham. Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes. Motion granted 5-0. First item of old business is Glenn and Heather White, 8017 West 146th Avenue, in vicinity being the same. Developmental variance to construct a 20-foot by 26-foot garage with 5-foot separation in between the garage and the house. This is a continued item, at least once now, from previous public hearing. I understand there's some revelations that were made.
Correct. They realized that they had an additional 10 feet that they were unaware that they had, so they are able to meet and comply with zoning ordinances and are requesting a withdrawal from the board.
Good news. Okay.
Is there a motion that needs to be granted on that? Or
We probably should, shouldn't we?
It makes a good record to do so.
That it was properly
It
withdrawn.
was withdrawn, and you acknowledge that.
So I'm seeking a motion for the same.
I'll make a motion to withdraw this petition.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to withdraw. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Are you folks ready, or did you still want to move to the back of the meeting? You ready to go?
We're ready.
Okay.
I made it out of Lowell in time.
They didn't keep you?
2 BJ meetings in one night,
They
so
didn't keep you?
they didn't keep me, no. Escape.
Item number 2, under old business, it's Cratched, Cedar Lake Commercial LLC, being the owner, P.O. Box 657, St. John. Petitioner Kendra Cracked, is that correct?
Cross.
530 South Street, Crown Point, in the vicinity of 12841. This variance of use is to allow the petitioner to operate a B3 use in an existing building located in a B2 zoning district and with a business operating plan to include a retail store, a total of 3 range rooms, a room for glass throwing only, a stage for public nights, snack shop, an arcade room, and for an additional use of 2 private studios, one being an art studio, one being a music studio, to be located upstairs and not accessible to the public. Okay. Mr. Austin, this is also a continued item from...
It is. Legals are all in order.
Everything is in order. As in last time. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to the Board of Zoning and Appeals. Again, Nathan Viss on behalf of my client, Kendra Crocked, for the proposed rage room to be located at 12841 Wicker Avenue in Cedar Lake. Just by way of brief setback, this particular location is located in an area that is zoned B3, but also located in a B3 overlay district. I want to start off this evening just by indicating that if my clients were to just solely open up one of the uses that is listed in their application. For example, if they were just to open up for the venue for the stage area alone, we wouldn't be before this body. If they were just going to open up for the glass smashing, the smash rooms, we wouldn't be before this body. If it was just going to be for the arcade and retail, we wouldn't be before this body. I think my clients, before I got involved, were very transparent with their proposed uses. There's a lot that's mashed together, but that's what makes the business model work, is a variety of uses all together that we frame underneath an entertainment umbrella. In regards to our last meeting, some good concerns were raised during the course of the public hearing. There was an emphasis, I believe, from this body to come back and to strengthen my client's business operating plan. There was a desire on behalf of this board that you have a bit of an opportunity to go back and do a little bit of due diligence, and I believe we've all had an opportunity to do that, in addition to a development proposed use plan that we've remitted to the town last week for review as well. Number one, to the BZA, when it comes to the parking, my clients have again gone back to the drawing board, and we've submitted a parking plan that I believe Ms. Abernathy meets the requirements of the town for the proposed use that is here. We've also proposed and sent pictures of what the lighting is going to look like as well to ensure that there is sufficient lighting for this particular arena. A concern that was raised last time, as well as, and I can state that since I also represent the owner of this property, there was a concern raised by an adjacent neighbor that past tenants had used an area adjacent to the parking lot to drive across her backyard. That was unbeknownst to my other client, the owner, and one of the things that we've proffered is that for that particular section, I've submitted some pictures, is we can ensure that that is employee parking. There are always vehicles parked there, so that if you do get a derelict, and again, my clients were unaware that this had happened.
There's a barricade now that's too, isn't there?
Pardon?
Isn't there a barricade there now?
There isn't a barricade there now, no. So what we would propose, if you look on that right side of the parking lot, there would be a location for there to be, where trash can be stored in, say, a 1 or a 2.5 yard dumpster. Then we're proposing that the next 3 would be where employees would park, and really once you get past that stretch, then there's a stretch of trees that then would block anybody from wanting to leave the parking lot, travel across that backyard. And I think that's a reasonable solution. Again, my clients were completely unaware that that had happened. They've gone out there and looked and said, "Vis, we don't see any tire tracks that people have done that." But what I have proposed in the use agreement is that, say that would happen, say this does become a problem, again, it hasn't been a problem, the owner has expressed that if there is written recordation that there is indeed a problem like that, they would be willing to plant a stretch of arborvitae as a natural vegetation along that side of the parking lot to prevent somebody from traversing through that particular area, and I've written that into the use agreement. A third concern raised from this board was safety and oversight. And I myself, my clients, and I know that the town as well, has reached out to a variety of stakeholders that can provide some input on this. I provided to you an email from my client's insurance carrier, who has expressed that he's never received, and he represents other similar type amusement venues, he's never received a claim for violence. I know Ms. Abernathy has reached out to Ms. Shine from the town of Maryville. They've indicated that they've not had any issues there. My clients have reached out to the town of Maryville Police Department to see if there's been any issues. There's been no claims there.
They're the same, and they couldn't report of anything, that they've had problems with the one that is operating there.
And I had a really good conversation with the town of Lafayette. They had a similar type business open up in Lafayette last fall. Very similar, if you go on their website, same theme, same opportunities for amusement, recreation. Talked to the engineer, and he kind of laughed and said this was brand new to us. He said, but it fit our zoning. He goes, and we didn't feel as if we needed to have any additional requirements. They proposed good safety requirements, and to the best of his knowledge, he expressed that they have not had any issues with police, with loitering, with delinquents, anything along those lines. I know my clients also extended an outreach to about 8 other similar type venues throughout the Midwest, Chicagoland, other side of the state. Haven't received a response from anyone, but those are the responses that we have received. Another concern that was raised here, and again, a good concern, and that's where my clients appreciate it because it only strengthens their business model and plan, was the question of differing ages being present on site and whether there needed to be additional oversight or parental approval. One of the things that they have modified is that anyone that's ages 12 to 14, if they are on site, would need a parent or a guardian there. Anyone that's ages 15 to 17, while it's one thing for a child to bring in a waiver form and claim that it's being signed by their parent, what my clients have expressed is that in order for anyone aged 15 to 17 to participate on site, they would need to actually have their parent or guardian there in person and sign a waiver form in front of an employee. In addition to that, what my clients have also expressed is that of the 3 smash rooms that are there, there is a camera that they have placed in each one of those that can be monitored from the front desk, as well as it's their plan to not only have an employee at the front desk that's taking people in, but there are 3 doors where the 3 smash rooms are located, and you can see that on the map. They would also have an employee that's there. There's a maximum of 2 people that are allowed in the smash rooms at all time. And on those nights where they would have a venue going on, whether it's some sort of musical event, things along those lines, there would also be an employee in that room. And what I can also stress is that we've also submitted what the proposed hours would be of operation. Those hours end at 10 o'clock. So if there's any concern of neighbors that there is a loud, boisterous musical venue event going on into the wee hours of the night, that's not going to be the case. My clients have indicated that there's a hard cutoff line, and we also recognize any nuisance statutes or ordinances that are out there as well that they need to abide by to make sure that that sound isn't emanating and disrupting.
What time's the hard cutoff, Nathan?
I believe it's 10.
10 o'clock?
I believe so, yeah.
It says on here to close at 10.
Yeah.
Can you clarify, because in your letter you state, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 4 to 10, and later in the body of the packet we have, I believe his rules state the hours from 2 to 10
Saturday
on
and
those
Sunday,
days.
2 to 10.
So what is it?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday would be 2 to 10. So the supplement that I added into the packet that you would have received over the weekend is the updated hours. But yeah, Saturdays and Sundays would be 2 to 10.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is 4 or 2 open?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Because further down you put 2.
Oh,
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr.
Wednesday through Friday is 2 to 10, or 4 to 10, and Saturday and Sunday is 2
2
to
to
10.
10.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for that. Good question. The other item that I want to stress is for this particular venue, and there was a good question raised as to whether or not are there a similarity to other similar type venues that are located in Northwest Indiana, for example, the bowling alley, axe throwing, et cetera, that's located in Cherville. And I think a key distinction here is it's a much smaller venue, number one. Number two is there's a capacity of folks that can even be in there. And number two is my clients are not able and will not be selling alcohol. And I think that's a key distinction that we can raise between this particular venue and the other venue that's located in Maryville. We can't really draw
Refresh my
parallels.
memory, there will be no alcohol on the premises altogether, correct?
Correct. The only reference to it will be my clients do have contracts with area bars and establishments. They do take those empty liquor bottles and that they use that as smashing. So if you look closely in the pictures that we provide, you'll see that, but it's all empty. There's no liquor, beer, et cetera, on the establishment. And I think that's a key distinction. Last item then that I'd like to reference to the BZA is in your packet we have a use commitment. I know this was important to the BZA that we re-emphasize what my clients are willing to commit to. So what we've attempted to do is to put the concerns that this board and the public has enunciated, and we've placed those into a particular use commitment that would be recorded against the property and would bind my clients to those particular uses. And that covers conditions such as parking, the number of employees that need to be there, who can participate in terms of smash room participants, the purpose of the venue and how many people can be within the venue, as well as verifying that any of the garbage which will be created, how that is going to be stored on the premises. So again, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the board for their good questions last month, and we've tried to work hard in the last month to find answers to those questions, as well as to find a mechanism to ensure that your concerns and those of adjacent neighbors in the community are met.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions on the board members, at this
I
time?
don't have any questions, I got a few comments. I'm an old guy, and I remember as a teenager, a big night was going to the roller rink or getting to a bowling alley or something like that. I don't understand this. But it's out of my realm, I guess, for lack of a better word. I got a generation gap going on or something. I don't get it. But I've done some research on it. I don't know why it shouldn't be allowed either. I couldn't find any reasons why it would be. So,
Well, I have a comment. I don't consider myself an old guy. Name a place where kids from age group, that 15 to 17-year-old, that can go and do anything in the town of Cedar Lake, other than going to church. Name me something, somewhere where kids can go and do anything.
we got a hold of that, don't we? I guess I don't understand it.
So, I mean, for them to have an arcade and have something to do, I was thinking about that, and there's, where do those kids go? They either go, they all go to sporting events, and after the sporting events, it's around 9 o'clock, and they will scatter off from wherever they end up in a barn and doing whatever. But I mean, to have a place where these kids can actually go and do it, I think it's a good thing. And who am I to say, you guys are putting on the liability. You're putting out the money, you're putting in a business in the town for a place for the kids to go. I don't see it being that bad. And the places that I've seen in other places, when I looked into it, there's nothing. They didn't have one problem anywhere. I mean, I see a bar being more problems than anything that these two people are
I
trying
did a
to
lot
do.
of internet research, and I made a few phone calls, and I couldn't find a problem. Nobody could report a problem anywhere, so.
And Mr. I appreciate your comments, and I had some comments that I was going to make in my initial presentation that I withheld because I thought it was too much. But I've been giving a lot of thought to your particular question, and what strikes me is that you take a lot of different forms of entertainment, and there can be a wide array of people that can say, that just doesn't make sense. Football, why would you put pads on a child and force them to run at somebody else and attack them? You say, it's good, it's organized, they're learning things, they're protected, etc. Boxing, paintball, laser tag, bocce ball, they all involve a various element of...
I don't disagree with you, but I've been trying to hire people lately that have some hands-on skills, and I think we've gone so far away from teaching kids how to do something constructive that it's left a big hole in the job market. It has nothing to do with this, but when I was a kid, you learned a little bit about metal shop in high school and wood shop, and we had a auto shop.
It was auto trade?
I'm not sure what they're teaching kids anymore, but I can't find a kid that can work a paintbrush.
I had that conversation with a landscape client of mine last night at 11 o'clock, saying, I sure hope you're going to hire my son when he gets 11 and 12 years old, because I had that opportunity, and I hope someone else gives him that opportunity, and society's not going to say, you can't work at that age and learn the things that I do.
Again, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not, it's just not something I can get my mind around, that's all.
You're looking for a variance a variance to put a B3 business in a B2 zoning. And according to his business, forget what you call it, business plan, you say that you're going to try it for 3 years and possibly sell it in 5 years, being in the business because you don't own the property. My question is, will all these variances go with the business then, or will the new owner have to come back?
So, Mr. Kapoor, in the use commitment, Nathan has written in there that this commitment will be for this petitioner only. That if they were to leave, the variance then goes away because it's being tied to the craft. It's being tied to their use in that business.
So then if they sold that business in 5 years, the business would have to come back in here and go through all this again. Correct?
Correct. Correct.
Just so they're aware of that.
Yeah, correct. No, that is
Because
correct.
it could be harder to sell.
It would be. It would be correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing, if this should be approved, I would like to see them come back in 6 months to report on how the operation is going. Just to see if there's, any problems that occurred or they need to address with the town or what have you. We've requested a few other businesses to do that, and, it worked out fine, because they come back and all the reports were good. So I would like to have that. If the motion is to approve, I'd like to see that in the motion.
Understood.
Okay. Anybody else at this time? Nikki, would you have a seat for a minute, just so we can open this up for public comment if we have any? Do we have any demonstrators for this variance? Anyone here for this variance? Of use, excuse me. Anyone against this variance of use? Anyone online, Ashley?
No, sir, no further communication.
Okay, no correspondence of any kind? Being none, we'll close the public portion of this hearing. All right, you can come back up. Well, is everybody happy with the verbiage and the agreement, and, everybody feel this covers,
Does that agreement need to be reviewed by
Yeah,
legal, or has it
Do we
been?
need a legal review on anything?
I think so. The use variance, or the use commitment is solid legal form. There were several documents that Nathan submitted in his communications with our staff over the past week that should be melded together, if you will. The use variance is going to be the recorded instrument. It'll be the condition of approval if it gets to that point, or a condition of the favorable or unfavorable recommendation. We just want to make sure we pick up everything. I know the version we just talked about is in the use commitment. I know that the variance is for these folks only, and most of what was talked about here tonight is contained, but everything needs to be included, and I think we're close. Any action taken tonight could be contingent upon the marrying of the terms in one document.
And I'm comfortable with that, yeah.
I mean, that's how close it is. There's a communication on his letterhead. I would hold him to that, to the end of the earth. There's a variance commitment that will accompany that. Actually, will take over. It'll replace itself for your letter, or will attach the letter to it, one of the two.
Mhm.
So, the details are in that variance, or that use commitment.
do we have anything else from the building department, or, any other,
So,
town voices?
after last month, I did my own homework as well. I reached out to every community in Indiana that had or has some form of a raised room or smash room open. Jeffersonville, he said that there is a singular room that's by appointment only, so they could not provide much feedback on this particular use because there was just a singular room. Maryville and Lafayette, they had no safety complaints. I even talked to one of the Lafayette firefighters who, very similar, no safety complaints, no issues. I've reached out to both to Tim King, Chief Bill, Chief Todd, to get all their feedback. Tim King's feedback was with disposal, and as long as disposal is occurring appropriately and it's done in a safe manner, he had no major objections. Chief Bill says it looks like a solid business plan. While he's not a fan of a place, it does not mean it cannot be a business in the town. His only problem had been the 15 to 17-year-olds just being able to bring in a parental waiver. In further communications with him, talking to him after it was that the parents had to come in, he was a little bit more okay with that. And he wants legal to have a review of the waiver of liability. Chief Todd had a very different reaction of he is not a fan of this due to people being able to bring in their own smash items. He wants to know who determines who then is safe. Throwing and smashing, he feels like throwing and smashing creates projectiles. He wants to know the protective equipment and what it is rated, or how it is rated. who determines the safety equipment is adequate, and who will manage the parking lot. I just got those comments about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Otherwise, I'd have gotten to you sooner,
Sure.
Nathan.
Yeah, and if you'd like, I can respond to a couple of those. In regards to the safety equipment, it's face shields, face goggles, as well as gloves. And the other item is, this is all items that are required by the insurance carrier. There's been good dialogue between my client and the insurance carrier in order for them to ensure these are things that they particularly want to take a look at it. When it comes to the items that are being able to be brought in, so for example, I was all excited, I have a monster old 55-inch TV that's 3 feet deep, and asked if I could bring it in, and absolutely not, because of some of the contents that are inside. So my clients are well aware of those items that do contain certain items that you can't dispose of and smash, will not be able to be brought in. And if you'd like, I can have you talk a little bit more about those, the standards.
2 TVs, we can't take anything with a tube in it, so like the big monitors, the computer
Anything that would
monitors.
have batteries in them, those would be removed beforehand, and then,
Cords are all be cut
yeah.
before they're put up.
And then aside from that, if you can smash it, you can bring it in. I mean, you can't come in with your own weapons, like if somebody
Right.
comes in and they wanna try out their katana blade on this log they brought in, that's absolutely not allowed. So it's mainly any electronics, flat screen TVs, such like that, baby equipment they're done with, your pictures of your boyfriend you hate now, you know, take, what have you, but I don't see any, aside from that, those were mainly our safety was that you couldn't have lithium batteries and no, tube TVs, due to,
No fluorescent light bulbs.
recycling, no fluorescent light bulbs, and then if you can bring it in, you can smash it.
And one of you or a trained employee will be on site
Correct.
to turn these people away
Yes, sir.
every minute while you're open?
Yes.
Okay.
Other than that, there's no further comments from the town regarding this item, other than previous comments that have been iterated in the past couple of months. Don is working on a review for the most recent parking plan submitted.
Okay. And did we, I guess one thing that I thought we brought up was, for the open mic nights, did you figure up any kind of capacity that you thought you would be?
I am working with Fireman Jimmy Schultz on that. He's gonna reach back out to me Monday regarding capacity.
And Mr. President, what I did do is I worked into the use commitment that my clients are going to submit when it comes to the maximum participation as determined by proper town of Cedar Lake officials as per fire code. So I built that into the use commitment. We recognize that we've been working diligently with Ms. Abernathy and other town officials to get that. We haven't gotten it, but in anticipation of that there is going to be a number, my clients will submit to that.
Okay.
Nathan, was that in the last draft of that commitment?
Yes, Mr. Rush, and that's in the section bullet point venue. The use of the venue space shall be subject to a maximum participation allotment of persons as determined by proper town of Cedar Lake officials as per fire code.
I have it, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I guess one question I have, being that it is zoned B3, or, yeah, B3 use in a B2 zoning district, and then with a B3 zoning overlay. So if this wasn't presently zoned B2, it would probably be zoned B3? Can I interpret that way?
I guess you could, but probably means it isn't,
Right, well, I realize it isn't.
so. I'm not certain I know what your question is.
Okay.
If I could clarify, I believe there's B3 zoning here because of the B3 overlay. The particular issue for my clients is the multiple uses. Any one of these proposed uses by itself, we wouldn't need to be here, but because we're having multiple uses on one site, that's requiring your approval.
The art studio, though, that would be B1 use, correct?
But it's a multiple use.
It's multiple, I know the additional
Business
uses.
property.
Right.
Yeah, it's the accumulation of activity that
Right.
has created this.
Okay. All right.
Any recommendation would be a recommendation to the town council.
Correct. For a couple of new members or newer members that need to dust off, this would be a recommendation of the town council. Any motion that is made should be made in the form of a recommendation. Anybody think we're not close enough to make a motion? I mean, I guess maybe that's...
I'll make a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the town council for the variance of use to allow the petitioner to operate a B3 use in an existing building located in a B2 zoning district with a business operating plan to include a retail store, a total of 3 rage rooms, a room for glass throwing only, 1 stage for open mic nights, a snack shop, and an arcade room, and for an additional use of 2 private studios for an art studio and music studio to be located upstairs and not accessible to the public. I would also request that they return in 6 months to give us a update on how the business is going, if they have any complaints, or if the town has had any complaints or anything along those lines. Also contingent upon legal review, Dave?
Completion of the commitment instrument that was proposed to you by the developer petitioner and his clients, merging all of the terms and agreements and understandings reached in this public hearing.
What did you say?
Including the findings of fact?
Including finding the facts, yes.
Those will be embedded in the commitment.
I'll second it.
All right. Seconded by Eric. Any questions on the motion? Rather lengthy, verbose one, but any questions at this time? Everybody got it? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bungie?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Your next meeting will be the next...
We'll reach out to Nathan
Okay.
when you go to the town council.
Yeah,
I'll reach out to you.
Your next meeting will be with the town council, and it'll be their final decision, okay?
Okay, very good, thank you.
All right.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Item number 1, under new business, Price Point Builders, John and Kathleen Dingler, 136, is that correct, Dingler?
Dingler, yes.
13655 Myrrh Street, in the vicinity being the same. This developmental variance is to allow the petitioner to construct a 24 by 24 foot garage in the front yard setback on a residential lot. David, are we in order?
I'm sorry, lawyers are having some fun.
I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
We aren't really. The certified mailings are in proper order, the proofs of publication of notice of public hearing is in order, and notice has been given to the adjacent owners, the public hearing is properly advertised.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Young, Price Point Builders. I'm representing, I like to call him John Dillinger, it just sounds better. We're looking for a development variance for a 24 by 24 garage the house is, on a peculiar lot, so it's cornered, and some people call it a side of, the lot, but in the, I guess in the way you look at it, it would be considered the front, so we're looking to put the garage in the front as a variance, and I have all the information, would you like to see it? Can I send?
They've been given
We
it on
can,
their.
yeah, we have it on,
iPad.
yeah, it's in front of us.
Okay, you took away a lot of my work, thank you. So, if you go to the, survey, the garage, like I said, it's on a corner lot, so it's not actually in the front of the house, but it's off to the side. And, there's no other place on the lot to put a garage, because there's a, steep area going off to the back, and off to the side, there's a water runoff section that's, for drainage for the subdivision. So really, this is the only location that we could put a garage to house his house that he's looking for.
And the door to access the garage won't be seen from the road.
Correct.
The garage is gonna be facing it'll be facing towards the back of the lot.
Yes. If you turn to one of the pictures, you can see the garage that's already built. We've got a front view of it. And then I took kind of a conceptual of the garage. It'll have the same pitch roof, it'll have the same style, and then we're gonna put like a atrium of brick between the two. It sits about 15 foot away from the house, and there's no problem with fire, or anything like that, and it'll be all brick.
So it's gonna look like it's attached to the house?
Yes, sir. And it'll also share the same driveway that's there presently.
What subdivision is this in?
Yearwood.
Where's Muir Woods at?
Behind the Baptist church, on 40.
Okay. Monty Watt subdivision.
Yeah.
132.
I zoomed out the map if you wanna look up there.
My clients have been there for a while. We just looked at every idea of putting a garage, and there's just nothing left. It would be ideal to put it behind the house there, but that's all, what do you call it? Ravine.
Yeah, it looks like it falls off pretty dramatically behind
It
the
does,
house.
yes.
Okay, do you have anything else to present at this time?
Nope.
Okay, you might have this seat for a minute, we'll call for public comment. Any remonstrators for this variance?
Richard Keel, 11363 West 135th Place. Not directly related to, like adjacent to them, but like the parking lot separates my house and their house from Bethel Church. So like I could look out my backyard and see theirs. I think it's a good idea. It's not gonna be an eyesore, I believe, and stuff, especially if it's gonna look like the house and stuff like that. And they're 100% correct. It is a really steep ravine in the back. It goes around Aaron Seacoates' house as well, and there really is no other place to put one. So I would definitely think it'd be a good idea to have it exactly right where it is.
Okay, all right, thank you, Rich. Any other remonstrators against this variance? Anyone here against? Any correspondence or anyone online, Ms. Abernathy?
No correspondence and no one online.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public portion of this hearing. And come back up, please.
There's not gonna be anyone living above this garage. It
No,
looks like there's,
Yeah, no.
the way it's gonna be built, there's a space, an attic space that.
No, sir, he has cars, antique cars, so he's gonna put a lift in there to stack more than one car, probably two cars.
Oh, I see, so that's gonna be helpful for that.
Like I said, I've never met this gentleman before, so it's awesome that he came up and give me the idea that it is gonna be a good place to put it, and really there's nowhere else. And, these people are definitely gonna build a nice garage, something that, it's gonna be finished inside and out. All drywall, all finished.
The next time, of course.
Let's see, for accessory regulation or height requirements for,
A detached garage is allowed to match the pitch of the house, per ordinance.
pitch, but not height.
I believe it's height as well.
I think it's the height.
If you use the same pitch as the house,
So the height is gonna be the same.
it could be the same.
Well, it's a two-story house, isn't it?
So, yeah, the house is two-story, so it won't even be close to the same height. It'll have the same.
He's gonna have that pretty high though to get that lift in there.
That was, that part was adapted because, you know, people started building these houses with a pretty steep pitch for aesthetic value, and then they'd have to build a garage with a 412 or a 312, and it just aesthetically, it looked like, yeah, like crap. Well, that's the reason why that got adjusted, back when it got adjusted. So, for appearances, that wouldn't include a height restriction on this particular item, would it? I don't think so. I don't think so either.
So, reading the ordinance, real quickly, it is, notwithstanding the above schedule, detached garages may have a maximum height greater than the allowable height stated herein, as long as the roof pitch matches the primary structure, residential structure roof pitch. And as long as the detached garage has exterior construction similar to the residential structure. So as long as it's matching the residential structure and make and pitch, it can exceed the height allowable by the ordinance.
It makes it look like it's supposed to be there.
It's my understanding this is a variance or to allow him to do it, you still have to submit your prints to
Yes.
the town for approval for the full permit.
Correct.
So all we're offering, all we're gonna be doing is saying that it's okay for placement. For what he's gonna be building, that is a whole nother step he has to go through.
Well, I understand,
through the-
it's just a question that came to mind as far as, what was allowable, as far as, I understand that, the only thing that really is in front of us is a 24 by 24 foot structure in the front yard.
Yeah, if the house was an older home that had like a 412 pitch, then they couldn't exceed whatever the height would be on that house, but because this house has, it moves with the site, the way that the ordinance.
I would agree, I think it would look great here, but this is not enough room.
What's the lot coverage so far out there? What does this do to that property?
If the garage is granted, it would be at an 11% lot coverage.
Which is a,
And then that outbuilding, is that part of the property, that garage behind there, or shed, whatever that is that part of that same property?
There is no shed behind it, there's only
Is that somebody else's house?
there's a deck back there and then it falls off.
If you're looking at the structure here, that's on the lot next door.
That is?
Yeah, because behind their property, they have nothing other than the deck in the
Okay.
back, and then it
Go down
might
in your
be a
picture,
playhouse.
there's an aerial view towards the,
Yeah, why?
Okay,
But it's on lot 5.
gotcha, okay.
will that affect the view of the neighbor to the, I'm gonna call it west?
That would be this gentleman.
No, I'm far north of there, but to Aaron's it will not. Aaron's house sits farther back. It's basically, it's like, they got two front yards, because the actual front of their house faces northwest.
That's what made it peculiar. A lot of, the house would have been facing one way or the other, then it was considered a side yard.
Yeah, I don't know how
Being here.
much property is
Since
that going that way.
it could be a front yard both ways, that's what made it.
Oh, maybe not.
And then you see where the building line is, you go back to the,
oh, is it a survey?
to the survey.
Eventually we'll get there, huh? All right.
And
Page
they-
3.
And they've still got the 30-foot building line, but then now they start having,
The drain.
they start having the river being.
Which is a drainage easement, which you don't want to build behind it.
Ordinance does not allow for anybody to build any permanent structure in an easement, any structure in an easement.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
because of the size of the lot, how big is it, an acre, close to an acre?
0.61 acres.
0.61, it's a large lot. The symmetry of what is proposed is probably the biggest reason to consider approving. Your rules are your rules, et cetera, but the symmetry of the construction to be with the existing home seems to make a lot of sense. that's hard to find and describe in the book.
So another thing that's hard, I know from experience, have enough place to keep your cars.
You got a 3-car, but
Building and buying things and running out of space.
property.
Very true. He's got some nice cars.
Prior to their submittal, I reviewed this with Tim Kubiak to find if there was any other potential place to move this garage. With the 60-foot drainage easement in the rear, that their house is kind of right on that line, and the topography, we couldn't find any other place to even potentially move it where it'd be able to even meet ordinance.
If it's gonna have the same pitch as the house, it's gonna be brick like the house, it's gonna have an atrium connection to the house, it's gonna look like it's always been there, and it's supposed to be there, I don't.
This is the same driveway you said as well, pretty
Yes,
much?
sir. Yep. We're
Makes
trying not
sense.
to disturb the driveway, actually just add to it.
Yeah, it's not a big garage, it's 24 by 24 or something,
It's not big enough.
right?
He probably wants it bigger.
He would like to go bigger, yeah.
Well, you don't need a front yard, and who wants to mow that much, you know, come on.
Are there any homeowner association responsibilities or terms or problems here?
Is there a BZA or anything over, or
No.
not a BZA, but
It was only a minimum
HOA or
square
whatever?
footage for houses, it was 2,000 back in whenever,
Is there an
You don't pay
architectural
dues to like an
review?
HOA or nothing.
there's no
I don't live
HOAs.
there, I
No
don't know.
HOAs, okay.
You know, there's,
Just wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's a good
Again,
question.
that would go in front of the bill, when they do their building committee, for the building permit.
yeah, if there was, we'd have to submit it with.
Yep, you'd have to submit approval for that anyway.
Ray, anything?
No, I'm good.
This is our decision.
This would be our decision, this is a developmental variance.
It meets a hardship requirement in my view.
Take the ball.
I'm fine with it. I'll make a approval for development variance to allow petitioner to construct a 24 by 24 foot garage in the front yard setback of residence lot. To the findings of the fact, right?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Eric, seconded by John, to approve. Any questions? Roll call?
Mr. Burnham?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Bundy?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Okay.
Thank you, Joe, appreciate it.
Public comment? Have we got anything to say?
I just have one comment. We briefly talked about it prior to the meeting, but next week, our wonderful attorney, Mr. Austin, will be hosting a BZA Plan Commission training session where the BZA, the Plan Commission, and the Town Council have been invited to. He will be going over BZA and Plan Commission rules and regulations requirements from the state, and that is next Thursday here in this room at 6:30. Please let me know by Monday if you are able to attend.
Okay. Any other public comment? Any update items? We got anything hanging out there that should be discussed? I can't think of anything, but I don't know if anybody has anything that we've...
I don't believe we have anything else outstanding. I do have one question with old business item number 2 for the returning within 6 months. Do you want that returning within 6 months after the business begins operation?
I think that would be...
Yeah, well, yeah, because
Okay.
Because if, well, I mean, upon approval, I guess, or, yeah, within, at 6 months of anniversary of opening.
date of opening.
Okay.
Because they're open for 2 months, then, you know.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Here, here.
Here, here.
Hey Jeff, was there anything else that needed to be